Hello everyone, thank you for joining this webinar from Aquaforest and Mohimbi. My name is Neil Pittman and I'm the founder of Aquaforest. Just a housekeeping point to begin with, we very much encourage questions from anyone in the audience today. You'll have a panel for questions on the right hand side of your screen, so please enter them there and we'll do the best we can to answer them. By way of background, both Aquaforest and Mohimbi are now part of PSPDFKit, which acquired both companies earlier this year. The talented development teams of the two companies have been combined, and this is already starting to produce some exciting results. The combination of Aquaforest and Mohimbi provides a powerful set of solutions for the whole life cycle of PDF documents within SharePoint and the wider Microsoft cloud. In this webinar, we're going to focus on the ways that technology from Aquaforest complements Mohimbi's SharePoint and PowerAutomate solutions. Looking at the specific solutions area we have on the screen here, Mohimbi customers will, of course, be familiar with Mohimbi's excellent PDF conversion capabilities. Regarding PDF document processing, we're going to see a demonstration of processing PDFs in PowerAutomate using a combination of the Aquaforest and Mohimbi connectors. My colleague, Clavin will be showing us this demo. Next, I should mention the PDF editor for SharePoint, which allows users to view, annotate, organize, and redact PDFs in the browser directly from within SharePoint. This has been the subject of a recent seminar from PSPDFKit. If you're interested in this, the replay can be found at pspdfkit.com/webinars. We will see Aquaforest tools for managing SharePoint PDF content in the second demonstration, where my colleague Stefan Kretschmar will show us how Aquaforest Searchlight can be used to enrich and dramatically improve the findability of PDF content in SharePoint. Now, I'll hand over to Clavin for the first demonstration.
Thank you, Neil. I'll just first share my screen. Perfect. So, hello everyone, and a very warm welcome. I'm Clavin Fernandez, and I manage developer relations and support services for PSPDFKit. I'm also a Microsoft MVP for business applications. So I spend a lot of time researching, learning, and talking about Power Platform. Today, I'm here to talk to you about the two connectors that can help you manage documents in your organization. The first connector will be the Mohimbi Connector, which provides you the perfect foundation for your document management needs and much more. For example, you can automatically create meeting packs, share documents with watermarks, secure sensitive information. Go ahead and get your content searchable by doing OCR. Then you can also PDFA for your documents for long-term archiving. The next connector is an intelligent connector. When I say intelligent, you just hear me out first. Okay, this is the Aquaforest connector, and with this connector, you can extract data. Yes, my friends, extract data and text from documents without the need of preset models. I'll again repeat, without the need of preset models. Additional capabilities of Aquaforest would include OCR, splitting, page extraction. It can also read barcodes on a fly. You can then use those barcode values to maybe create file names or even update it in a SharePoint column. Now, that being said, let's combine the two technologies, that is the Mohimbi and Aquaforest connector, and let's empower the business user or the citizen developer. And let's back it up with a real life demo. So what's going to be in the demo? First and foremost, we will convert a document to PDF. We will apply security to the PDF. We'll get the barcode value. Okay, let me reword this. We will read the barcode value on a fly, which is in the PDF. Okay, we will get meaningful data out of the PDF, and all those values, that is the barcode value and the meaningful data that we have collected from the PDF, will be updated to a SharePoint column. Isn't that awesome? Yes, right? So let's not waste time and let's get into the demo. So before I get into the demo, I want to show you the document that we are going to work with. So let's say that I'm a business user, I'm a business developer, right? Or a citizen developer. This particular document is sent to me by my boss, and he tells me, Clavin, you know, we have to automate this process. It's like that. I'm like, okay, boss, what do you want to automate? So he tells me that the document is always going to be in this format, right? So he wants me to extract the name of the customer, the title as well, that is this value. He wants me to extract the ID number, the address, the email address, and the phone number. And if I scroll down, he tells me there's also a barcode that he wants to extract. And then once everything is extracted, he wants the document to be in a PDF format. And when I say PDF format is the best format from the security perspective and also from printing perspective, right? So he wants it to be in a PDF format and it should be secured. The third part, and I share it to a third party or any other resource, they should not manipulate my document, right? So here I go back into my SharePoint, right? First things first, we are using SharePoint as a data source for this particular demo. So so what I have done, I have pre-populated some columns. Okay, so the barcode that you saw will be updated in this column. The ID number, address, and so on will be updated here. One column which is very interesting is the processed column. Okay, the processed column, why am I using it? The processed column is actually a yes no column. Okay, and the default value is no. This column will help us break the infinite loop because the source and the destination of the document will be the same. We don't want our flow to get into a recursive loop, right? So that is the solution. So here is the solution for it. So when I say that, now the next part of this particular demo is the PowerAutomate, right? So here, my friends, I'm using a trigger, right? I showed you SharePoint, so I'm going to use a SharePoint trigger. The trigger is when a file is created, properties only. All I need to supply is a URL and the name of the document library. If you see, it's Aquaforest demo. One interesting thing out here, if I go to settings and if I scroll down, I have put in the processed column is equal to false. Okay, only when it's equal to false. Understand this. Only when it's equal to false, only then trigger it, or else don't trigger it, right? Just leave it out here. I'll further explain you about this particular column later. Next, what I do, I get the value, I get the file using the identifier. I'm trying to get the file content. Okay, so here I'm getting the identifier. The identifier is the output of the trigger. Okay, if I just hover over it, you'll see the trigger output. So it's coming from the get when a file is created properties only action. Now I have the file content. Now next thing, I want to pass this content into the convert action. So I'm passing the file name with extension, which is again the output of the trigger, and then I'm passing the file content, which is the output of the action above it. Right? Once that is done, I'm using the Aquaforest action to read the barcode. Understand this, my friends. We are passing the file content, which is the PDF content, and we are passing the file name .pdf. Base file name means that the file name does not have an extension, right? So we are appending .pdf to it. The Aquaforest connector is going inside the document, searching for the barcode. I'll again repeat, searching for the barcode, and it extracts meaningful value out of it. Isn't that awesome? Right? Next, what I'm doing, I'm going ahead and getting the data from the PDF file. Now, when I say that, let me actually show you what data we are trying to get. So let's dock the Word document and my PowerAutomate side by side, right? So here you see, I'm getting key value pairs. Okay, this is very important. So the get data from form action intelligently extracts the data that is key value pair, and then we can use it further. In our case, as I told you, the title, this is the title, this is the key, that is the customer, then the ID num is again a key, address, email address, and this is what I want to extract in my PowerAutomate. Okay, so that's what we are going to extract. Now back to full screen. Now we have the document in the PDF format. We have read the barcodes. We have also extracted meaningful data out of it. Next, what? We want to secure it. So here, my friends, I'm using the Mohimbi action to secure the PDF. I'm going ahead and applying it an owner password, and then I'm applying restrictions. Like I'm saying, you cannot print the document, you cannot add annotations to the document, you cannot go ahead and disassemble the document, and much more, right? So we are adding security as well. Now that we have added security, we are creating the PDF back into SharePoint. Understand this. We are creating the PDF back into the same document library out here, right? I'm passing the processed file content, which is the output of the secure document action. Perfect, right? Next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to update the properties. Before we get into these properties, you see there's a processed property. I'm setting it to yes. That means true. So next time when a file is uploaded, that is a PDF is uploaded, which is secured, it will not trigger my flow. Okay, that will go ahead and stop the infinite loop from happening. Yes, my friends, that's the important part. Okay, so next what I'm doing, I'm getting the values from the Aquaforest connector, right? So the get data from PDF is returning me the title, is returning me the ID, is returning me the customer name, is returning me the email address, is returning me the address. And here the barcode is being returned by the get barcode Aquaforest connector, right? So it's there. Finally, what I do, I move the original document into a separate folder. Okay, that's what I do. So when I say that, let me just go ahead and upload a document. Let me actually manually trigger it so that we don't have to wait for it to trigger. So I have triggered it and I'm going to upload a document to my SharePoint library. Okay. So now the document is uploaded. We are just waiting for the PowerAutomate to trigger. So here, my friends, you see that the PowerAutomate has triggered. So it has picked up a file. It has converted the file as of now. Now understand this. Now you might be thinking, Clavin, you're just telling about SharePoint, right? What if I don't use SharePoint? I use a different platform such as a Dropbox or a OneDrive. Can I go ahead and convert, extract meaningful information from those formats as well? Yes. Both the connectors out here, understand this, both the connectors, that is the convert and the that is the Mohimbi convert or any other actions related to Mohimbi and the Aquaforest. Both of them are platform independent. I'll again repeat, it's platform independent. And when I say that, you can use it with any data source of your choice, be it Dropbox, be it OneDrive for business, or so on and so on, right? So our flow is running. Perfect. Our flow has completed. Let me quickly refresh my SharePoint. And here, my friends, you see that this is a PDF document. And if I just open it here, the PDF is here, right? And it has extracted values. Just look at it. It has read the barcode for us, right? It has read the barcode. It has read the email address and so on and so on. And the process is set to be true so that it does not trigger the next time. Next, what I want to show you is I want to download a copy of this document and let me open it in a PDF viewer. So it's trying to open. Perfect. So I'll click on file and I'll click on properties. If you have been observing very keenly, you see that the print is already disabled. So the security has been applied, right? So if I go to properties and if I go to security tab, all the things are disabled. Yes, everything is disabled. And that's what we needed. And that is what our requirement was, right? So isn't that awesome? And even the document has the perfect fidelity out here. Now, a little bit more about the connector. So I'll just edit it and let's start with the Aquaforest connector. So does the Aquaforest connector do only two things? No, right? It does much more. So here I am in the Aquaforest connector actions pane, right? This is what the Aquaforest connector can do. It can extract pages by barcode. It can go ahead and get data from PDF. It can get barcode values. It can get PDF properties. It can OCR document. It can split documents by barcode. It can split by pages, and it can also split by text match. So there's much more that the Aquaforest connector can do. And finally, let's look at the Mohimbi connector as well. So Mohimbi connector as well does a lot more. Just think about it. The first thing that it can do is that it can add watermarks, right? It can add barcodes as a watermark. It can add QR codes as a watermark. It can add shapes as watermarks, for example, image, ellipses, rectangle, so on and so on. It can add text. It can also add RTF. Composite means you can add multiple watermarks in a single go. In addition to that, it can also support conversions. When I say conversions, it is not just Office file formats such as PowerPoint or maybe Word or maybe Excel. It can do much more. When I say much more, you can convert HTML, URLs, Visio files, emails with attachments, infopath files, CAT files, and it can also export form data, and so on and so on. It can also do merging, as you know, it can merge files. You can create meeting packs with it, and you can also secure documents using the Mohimbi connector, right? And I think that is pretty much it. And I will go ahead and pass the torch on to my friend Stefan so that he can take this demonstration ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Clavin. Hello, everyone. My name is Stefan. I'm the Customer Service Manager here at Aquaforest. I will spare you my surname, although I need to talk to Neil about its pronunciation, I think, and I'm going to share my screen. And what I would like to use my 10 minutes for is to stay in SharePoint, but show you two Aquaforest tools which can deal with higher volumes of documents. Now, Clavin's boss came to him and asked him for that one document. That's all well and good in PowerAutomate. But if you're talking hundreds of thousands, millions of documents, then PowerAutomate may not be the best tool. And I would like to introduce you to Aquaforest Searchlight OCR and Searchlight Tagger for an automated batch processing, usually run on a schedule. Now let's get started. I have to admit, this is a recorded video. In the interest of timekeeping, we've recorded that and stick to our 10, 11 minutes. We have a little sample library here, and let's take a quick look at that. So open a PDF. This is a PDF, as we all know and love it, perfectly searchable, born digital, standard PDF, no problem with that. The next one in this document folder is an Outlook message file, which has a PDF attached to it. Now that PDF is a US patent, but unfortunately we can't select any text in there because it is an image-only PDF, so not searchable at this stage. Next in line are a few more PDF examples. In this case, a patent form, again, born digital, and another patent here, but again, sadly, not searchable. Last not least in the row is a TIFF file, again, a US patent, but in this case as a scanned TIFF, and therefore as an image automatically not in a searchable format. Now, first thing we do, we move all these files up to our SharePoint Online location simply by uploading them there. That shouldn't take a second. And while it does that, please pay attention to these two managed metadata columns, which are here on the right, called patent and key form, the key terms. So they're currently empty. Now, if we search for anything in these documents, we can't find it because we've seen before that the basically PDFs are not searchable. The only thing we can find for patent is the patent form, which was a born digital document. Now, to help with this, we bring in Aquaforest Searchlight OCR. And Searchlight OCR is an automated tool, and I want to show you how easy it is to set up an OCR process for Searchlight to get this library OCR'd. We give it a quick name, just create a new library, and in our case, we connect to SharePoint Online and add a new location. To add that location, all we need to do is enter the SharePoint URL. Now, we can either type that in or you can copy and paste it. You can also copy and paste a variety of locations in there, for example, a list of 10 locations. As long as each location is on a new line, that's no problem at all. We're going to use the very simple username password authentication here, but I'm going to show you in a minute that there is a variety of authentication methods in Searchlight, which will be more applicable for large volume processing. Let's just have a quick look at that drop down for authentication. So you see here that we've got the modern authentication option. That is if you want to grant access to the entire SharePoint tenant, or we've got app-only authentication, which is used when you want to grant access only to certain parts of your SharePoint. Okay, now we save that job, and as soon as our location pops into here, we know we are connected. Now, there's one more thing to briefly pause at this point, that is the scalability of Searchlight. Searchlight is licensed and operates by the number of CPU cores it applies. The cores basically mean how many documents are processed in parallel. If we've got a 4-core installation like here, that means 4 documents are taken down from SharePoint at any point in time and are processed in parallel. As soon as one core becomes free, the 5th document gets allocated, and so on. So it's scaling up and scaling down with the number of cores. The next screen is the document settings. Here we basically tell Searchlight which documents to process. In our particular case, we want to process all non-searchable PDFs, but we also know we've got a TIFF file and we've got an Outlook message file in here. We're going to move over archive settings for now in the interest of time, and also we're just going to skip the OCR settings. I'll show you later a little bit of the scheduler. Now the job's already set up. If we save that job, the audit will automatically run, and it won't take very long for this small number of files. And we can see already now that we've got a searchability status of 9.8% in this particular library. If we want to look at that in more detail, we can get an audit in the status page, which is broken down to page level now. Nifty little thing on the bottom. If you click on that little thing, it creates a single page PDF, which gives you a colored pie chart to illustrate the searchability status of that library. Now that one isn't very interesting, but I've got a more interesting one here, which I would like to show you. Of a larger library, as I said, most of our clients have very large document repositories. This is one example with 260,000 documents in here, 2.9 million pages, of which 2.3 nearly are already searchable, but it still leaves 640,000 pages to be OCR'd, plus 1,000 image pages. Now that briefly brings me back to the cores. If we do this job on a single core with Searchlight, it will take around about 27 days. So I think it becomes clear the more cores we apply, we can bring that time down, so we can scale the tool up and down very conveniently, and that becomes more obvious if we've got bigger numbers than these. Okay, so these audit reports we recommend everybody to do. Even with the free version of Searchlight, you can run audits as many as you like and get a very clear snapshot of your library. Now, to run the job properly, all we need to do is change the processing mode to audit and OCR and save it and run it again. And you will see in the run status here that the text slightly changes. Searchlight counts the documents, and then it starts straight with the OCRing of the individual documents. And because we've got a 4-core setup, 4 are done concurrently. So it shouldn't take too long, because each core just grabs one of the documents and OCRs it, and we should have a result very soon. Here we are, job complete, searchability 100%, fantastic. So in that case, we can briefly move back to our SharePoint library. So we've now got searchable documents. The metadata columns are still empty, but first improvement in terms of searchability, if we now look for the search terms we know are in the documents we looked at earlier, but which couldn't be found earlier. In this case, we need to download the message file first and then look into the attached PDF. Now, if we look for pump in here, we can see the text is searchable and markable. So it has become a fully searchable PDF with an invisible text layer added to the image PDF. So if we try the same in SharePoint now for the word patent, of which, again, we know there's a variety of documents. Previously, we found one. Now we found them all. So that's great. So we've got one step of enhancement, but our metadata columns are still empty, and therefore we'll move on to the second stage in a minute. Very briefly, Searchlight keeps a very detailed log of everything. Quick look at the scheduler, very self-explanatory, really. You can have a variety of settings here on a daily schedule or on a repeat schedule. That drop down where it says hours here can be set to end so many minutes, so many hours. So you can combine pretty much anything under the sun here to run Searchlight on a schedule. Since it runs as a Windows service, it won't matter whether the UI is open or not. We're now moving on to Tagger, and we've set a little job up in Tagger already, which we're just running now. I'll show you what the setup in that job in a minute. But for now, we just want to see Tagger at work. So the job has been set off, and it's processing as we speak. And if we watch our SharePoint at the same time, we can see how gradually these metadata columns are being populated by Tagger going through the document content, looking for certain key terms, I'll explain that in a minute, and looking for the patent numbers via the barcode of the patent papers, and populating these metadata columns one by one, the way it goes through the document list until the process is finished. So let's take a look at Tagger, how that was set up. So we've only scratched the surface here. There's basically two small things we've done. The first we've done is taxonomy matching settings. You see that up here. And Tagger has basically exactly done what it says on the tin. It matches the document content with a term list, which is set in SharePoint. And all we tell Tagger here is basically into which SharePoint column to put these data when it finds them and what to do with them. There's a variety of options here. We could overwrite, we could append, or we could ignore them. In our case, because it's a key term column, it's set to append. So Tagger will take as many tags as it finds and puts them all in the same column, separated by a comma. To keep it sane, we can set a tag limit so that the columns don't explode. But that, in essence, is the taxonomy matching setting. We briefly have a quick look. There's many more, which we can't all cover today. We have a quick look at the second setting to get the barcodes out. This is under PDF settings. We do that via a combination of zonal extraction and barcode reading. Now, in this case, the zone is actually set as the whole page. We read the barcode, and we tell it again the column where to put it into, and in this case, to overwrite the existing value in that column. Now, before we look the possibilities of these terms, I want to show you briefly how we set these terms. How do you connect Tagger to the SharePoint settings you have in your term store? Now, the term store is maintained at site level in SharePoint, but for each and every column, metadata column, managed metadata column, you can allocate a particular part of your term store, and that term store can be maintained by a completely different part of your organization. Here's just an example here in the picture. You can add, delete terms at any time, and the next time Tagger runs over these documents, it will basically pick out the changed terms from your term store. A very dynamic, interactive solution. Now, what does that give you? It gives you a whole new filter option. You can now filter large document repositories by these terms in the metadata columns, which makes it much easier to get to the key documents you're after, and enhances the searchability over and above the normal text searchability you find through the OCR process. That, in a nutshell, was it. I think I stuck to my time limit, more or less. There's much more to Tagger, as you can see on that little round, but for now, I would sign off and hand back to Neil.
If you guys have any questions, you can just drop it in the chat. We can answer them. I do not see any questions as of now. So our demo was spot on. So everybody understood what they need, right? Neil, are you there?
Neil, you're practicing my surname.
Perfect. We'll still wait for like 1 or 2 minutes, but yeah, if you have questions, just drop it in. In addition to that, I think what Stefan went ahead and showed can also be leveraged in SharePoint on-premise, and that's really awesome. So if you have tons and tons of data, as he showed in an example, right, the audit, you can just go ahead and schedule batch processes and you can get data out of it. Is that right, Stefan?
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly right. Yeah, that's the beauty. That's what it is.
Yeah, our current first placeholder, I think, has 120 million documents in one legal company in the UK. And I think you understand that at that scale, PowerAutomate may not be the tool of choice for 120 million documents with even more pages.
And another reason for not going for PowerAutomate in that scenario would be like, you don't want to send your on-premise documents to the cloud. The whole reason you stay in on-premise is because you want to have your documents on-premise, right? So that is one of the main reason, right? So what is there in on-premise? Yeah, now there are questions coming for you, Stefan. Yeah, you can just pick it up.
Okay, let me have a look. For on-premise, what's the range of, other than PDF we can process? Searchlight looks only for files which need OCRing, really. It casually ignores any born digital files, like any Office files, any Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all of that. We can have TIFF, bitmap, JPEG, PNG, and messages. And I think that's it, plus PDF, of course. Next question, is there any version of Aquaforest package we already in Mohimbi tools, or are they separate? Well, the PowerAutomate steps are in the same world, in the same environment, so they are currently differently licensed. We haven't really got a joint package there. That's an interesting point, actually, in terms of licensing. We may take note of that we may want to bring up some sort of joint licensing model in the PowerAutomate world. In all honesty, we haven't got it yet. The whole thing has only happened in May, so it's all new to us, but that's an interesting point. As for the other Aquaforest products like Searchlight and some others we have, they are different kind of product. They're basically standalone applications, and they are Searchlight on a subscription basis. And the prices are currently still available on our website.
Yeah, and a trial version of Aquaforest is also available. So you can use the trial, evaluate it, and contact us for support, and we will help you with whatever we can. So that's a promise.
Yeah, thank you very much, Clavin and Stefan. Sorry, I had a brief internet outage there, I'm afraid. So thank you very much for answering all those questions. So one question: if you want any more information about the Aquaforest products, or you want to sign up for any mailing list, please just go to visit aquaforest.com, and there's a contact page, and you'll get our details there. Also wanted to mention that Aquaforest and Mohimbi will be jointly exhibiting at this year's European SharePoint conference, if anyone happens to be visiting that in Copenhagen in late November. So we'd be delighted to see you there and ask any more questions. But ahead of that time, of course, please just contact us through the methods mentioned on the website, and we'll be very happy to talk about your use case and talk about how we can help.
Absolutely.
Well, I think probably the last thing is just to sum up. I hope this webinar has been really helpful in explaining, at least starting to explain, how the combination of Aquaforest and Mohimbi provides this really powerful set of solutions for the whole life cycle of PDF documents within SharePoint and the Microsoft Cloud. And we plan to continue and add further to that as time goes on, now that the two companies are part of PSPDFKit. So it just remains for me to say thank you again, Clavin and Stefan, for helping with that. And thank you everyone for your time this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. We are still here for approximately 5 minutes to see if any other questions, because I see someone is typing, so that's something. Okay. Perhaps we can go off camera as well, if that's fine. Yeah, Aquaforest action to Nintex. Neil, would you like to take that? Actions access through Nintex workflow.
So currently Aquaforest doesn't have any specific integrations with Nintex, but will operate anywhere where PowerAutomate can operate. But actually, one of the things, of course, as you know very well, Mohimbi's got quite a lot of integration with Nintex, and one of the things we are going to be on our map and looking at discussing is ways of doing that. But it's not something we've specifically got right now, beyond what's capable with sort of standard PowerAutomate capabilities.
Jared, just one question. Is it Nintex online or is it Nintex on-premise that you're looking for? You can just type it. Both. Okay, perfect. We will have a discussion about it as well. Perfect. So thank you, guys. Thank you for all of your time, for joining and taking a part in this session. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Stefan. And yeah, you know how to contact us. And bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.